Indiana has shown issues with various things. Hey, man, everybody need a date? All right. The daters are back. But
they heard my New Year's resolutions and jumped right on in there.
I'm telling you, they hadn't been on there for quite a while.
They haven't.
For those of you radio listeners, the commenter, there's a adult dating chat that tries to jump in the chats sometime. Funny. But yeah, so Indiana gets back at it. They've had all this time off, which is never usually a good thing. It usually brings some rust to it. At least that's one of the first things that a coach will claim. But I'm like, you know what? I don't think that you're allowed to be rusty at this point. I mean, you've been going at this since last summer together.
Right.
So, no, I don't agree with that. I think you just had more practice time. Why does more practice time make you rusty? It gives you more time to prepare against the next opponent, more time to study the next opponent, more time to study what you're doing, what you're not doing. And that's from a coaching standpoint, from a playing standpoint, from every standpoint. So the rust, no, I don't. I don't buy that.
I think there will be, but this is where I'm going to agree with rust? You. I think there will be rust in the first couple minutes of this game, and in terms of the shooting. Now, here's where I agree with you. You know where there shouldn't be any rust is on the defensive end. So you have to play really good defense. Because I think if they're probably going to struggle to get their shots up and make those through the first. That's just the nature of it. Getting back into a game rhythm. Number one, it shouldn't take them that long. So if you can navigate the first 5 to 8 minutes of this game against Iowa with your defense, enough time to get back into a rhythm shooting the basketball, then I think they'll be in good shape. If their defense falls short, they can't allow the offense to dictate what they do defensively. We've seen that at times this season. If they do that, they're going to be in trouble against Iowa. If they get after it defensively, I think we've learned that Iowa is not the same team that we thought they were. At least these past couple of weeks, they haven't. So they haven't been. So it's going to be really interesting to me to see how this team starts the game defensively. Now, I could be completely wrong. Maybe they come out and they shoot lights out. That is a thing that could happen. But I expect it'll take 5 to 8 minutes for them to get into a rhythm shooting the basketball. That's why I'm more interested to see what they do defensively in that time span.
Well, what about going up against a team who's 0-3 in the Big Ten?
Right.
They've been playing, but they've been losing. So I don't. Now you're going to go to Iowa, which I think that's going to be rougher because not only have you not played a game, but you're going on the road, which does not ever help in this league. But they haven't been playing well. They've lost. No. So why is that? Is that rust? That's not rust. So,
no, that's just not. They're just not playing good basketball. I don't know what else to say there. And by the way, this game, I think the tempo should play into Indiana's hand, getting up and down the floor.
I don't know.
You don't think so? They play better when they're free flowing.
I agree with that. It depends on the lineup.
That's true.
Yes. Good point. Yes. I agree with you. Caveat.
Yeah.
That last segment we talked about when we all agreed on starting Tamar Bates, and he didn't. I mean, the game is the entire length of the game. So starting and coming in 2 minutes later, whatever the difference is, it doesn't matter. But why he's not in that starting lineup, the biggest thing for me for Indiana, what it causes is right now them getting on these slow starts. I don't understand when somebody says, well, they just that's what they do. No, it's not what you do. That means you just don't hit shots. You're not scoring. You're not succeeding at what you're doing.
Right. Well, exactly. This has been my biggest issue, and we talked with Alec and Kyler, and neither one of them seemed to agree, if I remember correctly, that Tamar needed to be in the starting lineup. The thing to me is you've got to get off to better starts. And if he can light it up for you, then why not take a chance? Why not try to mix it up a little bit? Now, it's not like Indiana's broken, but they could benefit from better starts. That's for sure. So I think you got to experiment a little bit, toy with your lineup. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then go back to what you had been doing. This is going to be really interesting because like we said, we've had 2 weeks for this team to get back on track and kind of adjust some things, try to get healthier, try to make some adjustments to the things they've struggled with. You've got to learn to play without Xavier Johnson. Trace Jackson-Davis, we'll see if he's back at full strength. But, I mean, I want to see Tamar Bates in the starting lineup. And I understand the idea that if he's getting 30 minutes, why does it matter if he's starting or not? Well, you've got to control the first 4 minutes of basketball games because that's where your biggest struggle is.
Well, when you're going down, when you're giving up 8, 10, 12 points differential, then that means you have to find that at some point every game. Well, why? At Kansas, they battled back, or was it the Arizona game? It's been so many.
Arizona.
They battled back. But you know how much that takes out of you to have to keep doing that?
Right.
And then where Kansas was trying, or Arizona was fighting as well, but they just had to keep you at bay. All they had to do was keep you at bay. And they were able to do that. So you've got to, they've got to be the team that starts coming out and jumping out on teams instead of being the opposite. I don't know why they think that they have an advantage to do the opposite way. And if not, why aren't changes being made? Just curious. I'm just asking the question. I'm not saying that I know better because I'm not in practice, but I would sure like to. Why? Just out of curiosity, why? Doug says they don't start the games with a sense of urgency. I haven't seen them many times play the games with a sense of urgency. There are too many games that they end the game without a sense of urgency.
Right.
It's almost like, we're beat, so don't do that. But this team has got to find its inner self, man. I know that sounds kind of cliche or whatever, but it's got to find, each individual has got to find their inner self on, are they giving 110%? Is the coaching staff doing what they should and need to be doing? All those questions, they have to always be asked, but more importantly, always be answered.
Well, and to that point, I think what's really kind of surprising is in some of these games, Indiana didn't look like the most confident team on the floor. And we talked about all preseason, all offseason, how I thought that a lot of these players walked and talked with a lot more confidence than we had seen when Archie Miller was in town. I thought that Mike Woodson had a lot of faith and trust in these guys, and they felt comfortable being themselves, and then that breeds confidence. And I thought coming into the season, I mean, Trace Jackson-Davis said it on this show, his goal is to bring championships back to Bloomington. Big Ten, he wants to do a lot of things in the NCAA tournament. He wants to bring a Big Ten title, probably would like to win some games in the Big Ten tournament again, right? So we just haven't seen it quite translate on the floor. And I don't know if that's a chemistry thing. I don't know if that's maybe they're not as confident as I thought. I don't know what it is, but I do think that we're going to see the real identity of this team after this 2-week break. And I know, again, I understand that Xavier Johnson isn't in the lineup. I know that that takes a toll on a team, especially from a point guard and a leader. But I think you're going to see the identity of this team. And if you see this team just play with a little bit more toughness than we've seen through the first 13 games, especially in some of these Big Ten contests, that's where I think the biggest improvement comes. If we can see a lot more toughness, if we can see more energy from this team, then I think fans will be happy. Maybe not happy is the right word, but they will be more. What's the right word I'm looking for, Jim? It's 2020.
Satisfied?
Yes, there's more understanding. There's a little bit more optimism about the direction the program's heading, whereas there's some people that chime in on here and will say the same thing on social media. We'll say, this is basically the same team as last year. And right now, can't argue with it.